I love this as somebody who reads a lot, and sometimes I find that much easier to understand and to follow along. I hope that you can also see the captions. I see them coming up. If you cannot, in some events on Hop-In. Okay, Teresa, thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right. So I want to make sure I don't start too early, but I'm so excited. I'm so excited to talk to you. And please feel free to join in on the chat at any time and maybe share a little bit about, why you joined this conversation. And it really is designed to be interactive about burnout and accountability. Today, I'm going to share a little bit about my story and would love to hear a little bit about yours if you feel comfortable and you feel like this is a brave space available for you to do that. All righty, so it says less than 20 seconds. And you are here. Thank you so much for joining me. Do feel free. We're going to kick this off. My name is Nicole Steinbach. I'm the International Bravery Coach. I'm going to share a bit about my story, and I want to make sure you feel that you are in the right spot before I step into my individual story, why I call myself the Bravery Coach, why I talk about burnout. You can probably guess, and what accountability really is, how you can shift it. So the title of my talk is Transform Accountability to Stop Burnout. I have a podcast, and this is the very first time I'm talking about this off of the podcast. I love the Day of Security. This organization has been so supportive for so many of my clients, as well as my former employees when I was an executive. And I just love being here. So when I was asked to talk about this, I was super excited to do that. Yes, let's talk about doing burnout in a healthier way. Thank you for the comment, and feel free to join in the chat. Okay, so really quickly to give you a overview, what is burnout? What is accountability? I'm going to really challenge accountability. Then we're going to go hands-on. So please do make sure you have a keyboard, you have a pen and a paper so that you can go into accountability. If you are an auditory person, please do feel free to speak it out loud. Everybody has their own learning device, and it's really important to be inclusive. And then we're going to have Q&A. At any point in time, feel free to put it into the chat. I can scroll up and down. If you don't see me responding to it, it's not because your question isn't amazing or your comment isn't amazing. It's just because it may have been lost. So I hear you on needing this talk. So many of us need this talk, especially in this community. No matter where I speak, as you can see, and as I'm going to describe, I am a white woman. My hair is graying. I'm in my 40s. I have a green background. It's really important to me to create spaces that are more inclusive. I want to honor that I am on the unceded lands of the Ute and Cheyenne peoples. It is important to me to honor that, but also to pay my rent. I am indigenous to the southwest section of Germany and the northwest section of Ireland. So that is important to me. I'm also working heavily on my inclusivity in my business and in my presentations. At any point in time, I'm going to drop my email into the chat. If at any point in time you see an area of improvement to include more people or to shift some of my language, specifically, I am really struggling with the word guys. I'm shifting it to folks. I'm very, very, very open to your feedback. I have so much privilege, and it is so crucial that we create space for all of us. So why on earth are you listening to me talk about accountability? Well, Grace Hopper is another organization that I absolutely love to support. It's the conference for Anita B. I am American, as you can tell. I am from Southern Ohio. That means I graduated from an area in Appalachia. So all of the biases come up for people at that time. I did have the joy to live in Germany for 13 years. I grew up really poor, and moving into Germany with the incredible social net kind of shoved me right into the middle class and locked all the doors behind me. So when I moved back to the United States, I now live outside of Denver, Colorado. I came back in a very different place than I started in. I exited corporate as a global senior director. I ran multinational projects and programs and a lot of the privacy. So when we all know, I don't even have to say it, like GDPR, when that came into Europe, I actually ran the change program for SAP, who I'm sure we all know. And we had to bring 7 million customer accounts and uncounted amounts of data into the privacy regulation. And that's actually where I got a little bit obsessed with how security happens and privacy and how we share information and what we share and what we don't share. I started coaching in 2012-ish. It's a hilarious story. If you ever want to hear it, drop me a line. And my business has been in place since 2019. So I've been coaching women in tech and now women and men all over the world to build the skill of bravery. But why talk about burnout? Well, I experienced it myself. Almost all the signs: exhaustion, inability to sleep, sleeping too much, irritability, lack of focus and concentration. I literally thought I was going crazy. And this is where a lot of the content I'm going to be sharing with you began to be developed. I also experienced many others moving into and through burnout. I had a leadership who basically had a heart attack at work. An anxiety-driven heart attack was what the doctor said it was in Germany from burnout. And not just them, but also my colleagues. I forgot to put on here, I burnt out an employee once when I was an early manager. I was awful to work for and work with. That's actually why I got sent to coaching. And I've had really good friends who looked like it was all together and then bam, right into burnout and into extensive medical care. One of my really good friends was in extensive burnout care for about 9 months. So I've lived it myself. I've seen it in others. And now I really help my clients build the skill of bravery to avoid it and to recover while they are in it. So I want to just ground set a little bit. And at any point in time, if you have questions about myself, my credentials, my experiences, like I am here to share that with you, as well as address your topics, your concerns, and areas of growth. I really want to start. Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad that this is hitting. I hope that it's filling you with love because that's how I want to show up. Bravery is a skill. I'm going to be talking about bravery in here. I just really want to uncover for you that it is a skill. It's not a personality trait. I am not a naturally brave person. I've had people offer to do these incredible things with me, and I'm just like, no. But because I'm not a naturally brave person running around and doing the wild things, and yet I've done all of these incredible things, I actually know how to help you see you're already brave and show you how to build your brave so that you stress less. That's really important. You work less, and then you begin to live and earn more, and it's always in that order. It's always in that order. All righty. So what is burnout? We're going to rush through these parts because I think we all agree, but I just want to make sure this is really important for inclusive perspectives, that people have the opportunity to read it, especially those of us who are neurodiverse. Burnout is really the exhaustion of physical and emotional strength and or motivation, usually as a result of prolonged stress and frustration. There are so many different symptoms. I just listed out a few of them: inability to sleep, sleeping all the time, irritability, sadness, inability to focus, lack of motivation. I just don't care anymore was my biggest. As you can tell, I'm a pretty passionate person. And when people started to say, hey, what do you think about, should we go this way with the program or that way with the program? And my response was, dude, I don't care. Like, literally choose it. My team will make it happen. These are the signs of burnout. I just read a meme about my career as a genealogist. If you're not exhausted, you're not doing it right. Absolutely not. That is a wonderful example of burnout. It is not helpful. And yet we were perpetually surrounded by that truth. right? Henry Ford said, a man who's not working is not a man making value. I disagree. No, thank you, Henry Ford. 75% of cybersecurity, privacy, and compliance experts are currently reporting significant signs of burnout. What does that, and that was from 2021. We all know that 2022 has been even more. We look at significant banks failing in part because of a lack of risk management. We see massive hacks of insurance information, of personal identification information. We are seeing a massive growth in this industry, and we are watching people leave. In fact, as of 2021, this was the end of 2021, reporting took place in 2022. There was actually 30% of cybersecurity, privacy, and compliance experts who were actively planning to leave the professions, right? And here's the thing. We know from data that if 30% are saying that they're looking at leaving, we're actually looking at significantly greater numbers. It's estimated that it's about double. So about 60% are saying, hey, this is too much. And I agree. It's too much. So what do we actually do about it? So here's what I want to offer to you. Women are currently socialized, and this goes for, I have a wonderful person in my life who is a trans woman and is just always telling me about the experience, transitioned as an adult, how strong the socialization is. So this is for people who are socialized as women. This is for the people who became stepped into the socialization of being a woman in our society. We are socialized to make accountability mean controlling others. Think about it. Go hold them accountable. Go make them accountable, ensure they finish the training programs. Make them accountable to finishing the report. Make the controls and the teams responsible for the control definitions deliver. You're accountable. It drives burnout. Men are not socialized in the same way. But here's the other side of that. So we can honor that truth, and then we can say, hey, 1 second, we can transform accountability into the biggest advantage for your confidence. And that's what I actually want to show you today, okay? So I'm going to really challenge accountability. This is from Webster's. I thought it was the shortest and most simple. An obligation or willingness to accept responsibility, or to account for one's actions. I'm really going to stress that when we talk about accountability, when we're in My Brave Spaces, you are accountable to, for, and of yourself. And that's it. When someone comes along and says, you're accountable for the controls, but the controls are actually written by the subject matter experts, no, you're not. You're responsible. And when you can begin to embrace this mindset, this brave mindset, the return to the actual definition of accountability and move away from being accountable for them, your stress level is going to instantly decrease. Instantly. I see it in my clients all the time. This was one of the most important elements as a manager and as a program driver and a multinational corporation. This was one of the moments when I began to come out of my own burnout. So if you ever want to challenge me, the chat is right there. Challenge me. This is where we're actually going to step into accountability. So grab your keyboard. If you speak it out loud, great. If it's a pencil and paper, fantastic. If you are a tippity typer and you have strong thumbs, fantastic. But the important thing is that you actually start to write this onto paper, because we're going into the accountability triangle. We're going to be learning and doing at the exact same time. Number one, and I put this on here for anyone who is a processual learner, maybe has autistic tendencies. It's really important to have everything on there at the same time. I would really encourage that you go through each step individually. Number 1, you need to choose a really specific goal or outcome because we have a very limited time together that is currently over demanding, exhausting, or painful. So as an example, you can choose getting the organization to complete their privacy training on time. Or updating the controls, or the fact that your team is significantly understaffed, or that you're being asked to do your cybersecurity certifications outside of business hours. What is one specific goal as in part of your job, or outcome as part of your job? Outcomes can also be things like KPIs, OKRs, targets, NBOs. Oh my goodness, we make up so many things to say, what are we actually going to achieve? So I really want you to get very specific here, make it as concrete as humanly possible. I'm going to give you just 30 seconds to wrap that up. Oh, Elias, that's how we would say it in German. Elias, your comment is gold. So for the recording, this is in reference to how we think about accountability and the socialization that we have. And if I am pronouncing your name incorrectly, correct me. Super true. When I talked to a male security mentor yesterday about pressuring a past employer to offboard me from critical services, the male mentor said, "That's not your problem. They're the ones who are accepting this risk. Why is it your problem?" It's not, right? And then the comment finishes, "Because I'm accountable and this is a bad look," right? That's socialization in action. Let's challenge that, okay? All right, step number 2. For that specific goal, for that specific outcome, for that specific result, for example, offboarding you, list your areas of accountability for this specific goal. What that means is the things you're actually responsible for. So I'm going to continue with this amazing example that we just got, right? Probably have to finish your operational checklist. You probably have to put everything into a server structure with a specific set of access limitations and with a specific titling. I'm just making this up. I don't actually know. You probably have to hand over anything that gives you access, your technology, your mobile devices, your badge, like all of those things. You're accountable for that. You're accountable for having a reasonable attitude about the whole thing. You're accountable if they do exit interviews to finish your exit interview. But everything else, we're just going to keep that in your accountability cycle. Then the third part, right? We were talking about a triangle. Identify one person who is also working on the goal or outcome. And then list their identity. Their accountability, excuse me. It's really important that you identify one person when you're learning the triangle, the accountability triangle. Here's why. If it's a nebulous, just to stay with that one comment, and thank you so much for the generosity to share. The one comment of like, oh, my former employer, that's like a ton of people. And then it becomes very simple to like, well, there's this gap and that gap, and now there's 15 people. Just choose one person. As you're learning this skill, do one person and yourself with one goal or outcome. And as you mature, obviously, you can take it to much more levels of complication. But at the beginning, just take one. And then what are their responsibilities for? For example, it may be accepting your handover. Accepting your checklist, checking to see that the server, okay, but the server is all set up and it's restricted and the titles are correct, that your laptop was turned around, but one person, okay? Let me know if any questions come up. Yes, so we have a comment that says, I'm struggling with that second point. It might be because I'm not completely clear on the specific goal. That is the reason. In my experience, having shared this with so many people, very small groups and individual clients, that's the reason. So go ahead and go back up and be like, what is the specific goal? It can be as exhausting as that weekly team meeting, just surviving the weekly team meeting. That was one of the parts that was really exhausting me and leading to irritability, was this darn team meeting, right? So I hope that helped. Definitely you want to be really specific, and feel free to start really small, right? So I'll give you an example for the team meeting, because I'm seeing people liking your comment. So thank you for sharing it. Team meeting. So the outcome is we all get through the team meeting. It can be that simple. What am I responsible for? I'm responsible for reading the agenda in advance. I'm responsible for showing up on time. I'm responsible for holding that whole half hour or hour to myself for that team meeting. And I'm responsible for answering any questions. That's it. That's it. So what is my boss responsible for? My boss is responsible for showing up on time, for leading the agenda, for ensuring that the people who need, that people have space to talk if they need to, and for directing questions and ensuring the notes are provided later. Okay. That's it. That's it. That's as far as we're going for right now, because I want this to settle in. More is going to come in to your brain and onto your paper or your keyboard or spoken out loud. And you are going to experience how we can shift from control into confidence. All right. Let me know if any other questions come out. Ooh, what suggestion do you have for those who do not have another person involved in their goal or outcome? Okay, fantastic. I'm so thankful that you brought that one up. That is a mindset. That's a mindset. And that's where we want to go into, what are you currently believing about that goal? What do you want to believe about that goal? And then doing the work in between. That's not something that in this case for this triangle is going to really help you. Now, if you want to play with something, but do not let this make you crazy, you can put your current self and your future self. Or one of my clients called it the good angel and the unfocused angel or something. And then she did those two things. But for right now, I would really recommend that you take a goal or an outcome within your job where you're collaborating with someone else. And I really appreciate you clarifying that. Thank you. Okay. All right, so here I want to show you how the triangle goes into action theoretically. And this is really sourced from the studies done by the Scottish Institute for Leadership. And then it was redone, or it was reestablished, I believe, by McKinsey Leadership and then Tata Consulting. This is something that is out there. I've just simplified it a lot because we don't need to make it a lot complicated to sell expensive services. And I was a consultant for a long time. All right. So you have you and your areas of accountability, and you are headed towards the goal. The other person and their areas of accountability, and they're headed up to the goal. Okay. So this is when everyone is working towards a specific goal or outcome. If you do want to try to use something where it's just you and you, right? You can say, okay, this is my future self, and this is what I'm going to, and this is my current self, and this is what I'm going to. So this is sometimes helpful for people who are headed into management or headed into consulting, headed into from privacy into cybersecurity, right? This is my current, and this is where I'm headed to, and then how do we get to achieving the KPI? All right. Then in the middle, in a healthy system, there's collaboration. Notice the arrows going up towards the outcome or to the goal. Those are the arrows that get most of the focus, whereas the collaboration is based on the specifics that need to be done. Let's go back to the weekly meeting. So I have my areas. My boss has their areas. And then when there's an agenda point that has to do with me, I want to bring an agenda point. I want to ask a question about the agenda point, or my boss needs me to have an agenda point. We have collaboration there. Okay. You can think about this as a report as well, or updating the controls, right? You have the person who's doing all of the management, coordination, and expert review, and then you have your SMEs. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of coordination, collaboration, guidance, etc. But the arrow should be going in two ways. Okay, so Geeta, hold on to that. You might be further along in the triangle, so just hold on to that. That is fantastic. What is in here is my role as a security project manager. So I am also struggling with number 2 as I do drive the tasks. Fantastic. Follow up. Fantastic. Share blockers and create and share mitigation plans. Hold on to that because we're probably going to come back to that. All right. So when you are in a cycle and a mindset and a behavior of accountability as control, here's why it increases your risk of burnout. And I just want to share, like, I'm really good at the content stuff. I am not a fantastic designer. So just enjoy. Have a good giggle. Drink some coffee right now. All right. So what happens? You're doing your role. Fantastic. There's a moment of collaboration. For whatever reason, like for example, you're doing a follow-up for the security project management. Whatever's happening, right? So you're doing your role, you're really focused on getting the work, you're pinging that person again, see the annoyance, right? And at some point, when we believe accountability is control, our focus is on the other person and not on the specific goal or outcome. This is where the irritation, frustration, I have to work with that person again. I'm sending them another email. They want to have another conversation. I already explained this. Why are they, right? That's where a lot of this stuff comes from. And those are some of the early signs that the frustration, that the emotional exhaustion is beginning to build. How do some people interrupt that? We're going to get, I know these arrows are stressful. Okay. But here's the thing. When accountability is control, we're going to get even more stress because now you're feeling frustrated. You are being overworked. You are overstressed. Maybe the goal is going to get messed. Maybe the report isn't done. Maybe you're following, but the blocks are just building up, right? You're taking accountability for the risk that they are taking on as your former employer. So you try to do your job, but you're still with this person over here. What the And then there's that moment where either they consciously say, I'm not filling in those controls. That blocker is not serious. My team is not working on this. That deadline is not feasible. But it's after you've already taken all of this work and you're doing your job. And most likely you're probably doing part of their job as well. It's like I've done that before and I help coach people who are in this situation. And then keep going. This is literally based on a story. And then here you are, you're in burnout. A significant burnout, or a situational burnout, but you're burnt out. This is stress. This is weight loss. This is weight gain. This is lack of sleep. This is too much coffee. This is drinking too much. This is not working out. This is not taking care of yourself, your soul, your mind, your future, your body. This is how it happens. And what I see, what I know is true for me, and what I know is true for my manager and for the employee that I think it was 2 employees that I led to their burnout. It was not just one. It was multitudes. And on this, we have cybersecurity people here. We have security people here. We have privacy. We have data protection. We have all of these areas. And it is rare that you see anyone in any of these functions where the team is properly staffed and you have one stakeholder. How many stakeholders do you have? How many people are you, situations, goals, and outcomes are you in this model with? Are you behaving this way with? This is not about shame. This is not about gain. This is not about blame. We have been socialized to do this. We've been told this is how we're going to be successful. And it's not true. It's the way that we burn out. Yeah. So let's look at, oh my God, the arrows keep going. Oh, it's too much. This is why it leads to burnout. And I have put my stake here and I say it's inevitable. If it's not in this role, it's in the next role. If people are managing the senior level well, when they go up to the manager or the senior manager, the latest that I've seen this actually happen the first time was at a VP level. Person had worked in a pretty small country. They had a limited number of stakeholders. And when they got onto that global level, it was within months. Burnout is inevitable. So we have to fundamentally change how we engage. Oh, the first picture. Yeah. I feel like so many of us can relate to that. This is thinking about the situation rather than leaning into the joy and things that are good. That's true. Yeah. I have other frameworks for looking at the joy of things that are going really well. And it is very important to evaluate and celebrate. Right now, it's about burnout, unfortunately. Good comment. Accountability as confidence. Why it increases your success and decreases your workload. Here we go. Here's how we break it. And this is where I think we're going to come back to the security project management. Same thing. Okay. This is a healthy system. This is the theory. You can find I think there's even a book about this. There's courses. There might even be one on LinkedIn. You're focused on your specific goal. You take your action. You take another action. There's some sort of moment of collaboration. You are continuing to work. Something's going on over there. Another moment of collaboration, or maybe they haven't responded. Don't know. You do your job because you're headed towards the specific goal. You see where the focus is different? And here's the magical moment. For me, my moment was 3. I would have 3 attempts at collaboration while focused on the goal or outcome. That's what we're there to do. And then that is when I would step out of this triangle and into a different approach, because accountability is not me controlling. Accountability is to me. It's for me. It's of me. Some of my clients have chosen 2. They'll have 2 follow-ups. They'll have 2 unproductive meetings. They'll have 2 missed deadlines. That's it. Another one of my clients has a very different perspective. And for her, I think it's 8. The important thing here is that it's specific to you and your situation, your stakeholders, and what you're willing to do. For me, it's 3. At that moment in time, it is very clear to me this is not a healthy environment and this is not something that can continue. I am being brave. I'm stepping into my clarity. I'm acknowledging what's actually happening, and I'm choosing my behavior at that moment. That is my yellow. This is where the report gets flagged as yellow. This is where a whole variety of things, but I at least let the person know this is not okay. We've had 3 meetings. This is not okay. The way that you do this is something called crucial conversations. I'm not teaching that here, but it is on my podcast, Celebrate Brave. I'll share the link later. And you can learn exactly how to do that if you don't already know. Here's why this matters, and this is why it builds confidence. Now it's their problem. It's not mine. It's theirs. I've been clear. I've shared it. I've been accountable to myself. And now it's their problem. But wait, Nicole, we still have a specific goal or outcome. Yeah, you do. So you step out of this and into another. Now, you get to make your brave choice. I'm not here to tell you what it is. So for example, if we go back to, and this is why I think it might be that you were already here. It might be that you, as an example, you share the blockers and you start embracing the color bright red instead of using amber. Or you set up a one-on-one to say, hey, we have these blockers. This is what I'm noticing. What's the resolution? It can be that you send the report. This was me. I just sent the report with the missing information. Unavailable. Finance did not give it. HR did not give it. Quality issues. If you'd like to see the quality, let me know, right? That's an option. Another option is that you stop working in this unhealthy environment. There are so many brave choices. And what I want to offer to you, I just offered you 6. I think that was 6. Yep. 6. What I want to offer to you is that you get to decide your brave choices. A brave choice can also be, you know what? I actually want to work for this person at some point in time. So I'm just going to keep going after them, but I'm going to remind myself, I'm not going to get irritated and I'm not going to get ignored. I'm not going to get dismissed. I'm not going to get frustrated. I'm just going to remind myself, I want to work in that team. And so I'm just going to be persistent and resilient and get it done. One of my clients did that, and she ended up transferring over to that team at a very high level. I helped her navigate all of the feelings so that she could get there. That's right, because this approach is significantly less stressful and it's very brave. So what I would love to do now is just give you the time to think about what are some of your brave choices. And if you've got some that I didn't mention and you'd love to inspire the other people that are on this call, there's 25 people or 24, I don't know. You can inspire other people with yours. Like, has anyone ever told you you can just send a report up, a controls report up, and flag all the areas that weren't filled out by your business partners as red? Did anybody ever tell you that you can just be like, you know what? It's you, not me. This system is unhealthy, right? What are some ways that you can make a brave choice? The reason that you want to establish an entire menu, the way I love to think about this, you know those restaurants you go to and it's this massive, like TGI Fridays if you're in the United States, it's this massive menu and it like opens all the way and it's just option after option, right? When you have that in front of you and you notice, hey, I said I was only going to follow up 3 times. I'm going to just let them know this is not cool. And then, wow, I have 30 options of how I can respond. I already created this in advance. Which one do I want to take? It's so freeing. And then you can be so clear, right? All right, because you're reaching towards your goal. That is why accountability, and here's all of the choices, accountability as confidence means that growth is inevitable. Growth. You don't burn yourself out in a system that is unhealthy, pretending that it's healthy and acting like you can control other people. You spend time growing as yourself towards the objectives, towards the goals, towards the outcome. This is why shifting your relationship to accountability changes everything. And here's a little brave truth, a little brave love. Your brave choices matter. You are the only person who can make them. This is it. This is where the rubber hits the road, as we say. So here's the mindset. I showed you the mindset. I showed you the accountability triangle. I taught you how to use it. But how do you go into actual brave action? Well, there's a couple of things that I've already mentioned to you, and I promised to put my email in there. You're super welcome to reach out to me. And I also promised earlier to share how you can get access to all of the new podcast episodes that are coming out. Find out when I'm doing additional webinars. I teach a webinar every month. They are free to teach people how to do this. That is my brave service into the world. So how can you continue to do this? I mentioned crucial conversations. I mentioned mindset. I mentioned the overarching. And so I want to share with you a reminder. Number 1, brave is a skill. You're already brave. And number 2, this is how you build your brave. You create your clarity, you establish momentum and build it, and then you stay in your accountability. And just so that you can have the whole range, there are specific sentences for each of them. And as you can tell, they all overlap. And here are all of the areas in which you can leverage this to build your brave. I have a podcast episode about every single one of these other than accountability triangle and mindset design. Those are coming out in the fall. The rest of it, you can learn. You can learn how to set clear, specific goals in simple ways, brave ways that support you, and how to share them, including how to create a board of advisors. You can establish how to spend as much time doing things as feeling things. The triangle that we just experienced, people were saying, hey, that looks really stressful. It's really stressful to live too. You can create ways, and here are some of the key frameworks I teach my clients. They are all on my podcast. And then the last part, accountability to, of, and for yourself is available here. You guys are just the very first people who get to benefit from the accountability triangle. And accountability comes down to, I choose who I want to become and I become her. It has nothing to do with control, nothing. This is the podcast, Celebrate Brave podcast. It's on all of your major, I don't even think major, I think it's major, minor, all of them. It's all over the place. I have over 115 episodes. This week is with a client of mine. Other episodes really teach you how to leverage the Build Your Brave framework, how to leverage each and every one of these frameworks here so that, whoops, where did it go? You can build your brave, because bravery is a skill. It is not a personality trait. You are already brave and you can build the skill. I would be honored to continue to help you do that. And in the meantime, we have 10 minutes. I left copious amounts of time so that we can exchange, so that you can get some feedback. I've been weaving it in as we've gone, so you can get some feedback or some suggestions for your specific topic and your specific challenge with burnout and with the mindset of accountability. So let's hear from you. Okay. Just be prepared. They might decide for you that you're the problem and ask you to leave if you try to speak out about it. That is so true. If that happens, that place doesn't deserve you either. Are we all listening? That is so true. I would offer, in addition to this incredible mindset, hey guys, I've been I'm working on my inclusive language, folks. I have been laid off 5 times since I was, I think, 17 years old. And one of them, I was running change programs that were so effective and driving so much change, increase of operating margin, doing the quote unquote impossible, that it threatened the systems of power. And those programs got cut right off, even though they were driving revenue, they were increasing the operating margin. We were up for an award, which then got pulled out. This is the truth. And Stacey's experienced it, I'm going to guess. I definitely experienced it. But listen, accountability to, of, and for myself. There were so many warning signs, and I tried to pretend that my data was going to protect me. And I exhausted myself. You don't have to do that. You can believe yourself. You can believe other people. You can have crucial conversations. And you don't have to say in accountability triangles that do not serve you. You can go create different ones. Okay. Oh, okay. You're welcome. Thank you for the feedback. It's very nice. I'm very honored that my I have 3 coaching certifications. I'm working on my 4th. I am a ProSci certified change manager. I have the SAP consulting degree and a bunch of other things like Agile and Scrum Master and all kinds of fun stuff. And I'm really, really grateful when I can bring this to our community. We are doing so many important things in the world. And if we are not at all of the tables, major gaps get created that puts us at risk in security and in cyber and privacy, etc. So important. All right. What questions do you have? What comments do you have? I can't tell if people are chatting on this platform, like if you're starting to type. So I'm just going to go up and make sure that I didn't. I'm wondering, did my suggestion for when you don't have 2 people, like if it's something that you're a goal, like that you're only, like for example, if I want to paint my bedroom, I'm probably going to do that by myself. I'm wondering if that supported you. Okay. And then I'm wondering, did you get the help? There was the comment about maybe my goal isn't specific enough. Was my feedback clear enough for you? Oh, you're welcome. So the comment is no question. Just want to say that this is so informative. I love the session. If you loved this, definitely check out my podcast. Definitely sign up for the emails for the future opportunities. This is the type of content and the type of teaching that I give for my monthly webinars. It's just we do it on Zoom so I can actually see you and you can go off of mute and like talk to each other and network and learn from each other. And like I said, those are free and they happen each month. Except for in July. July's holiday. All righty. What else? I don't see anything else. Okay. So then I'm just going to share that as my clients begin to step into their brave, however they define it, and they are headed towards their specific goal, the accountability triangle is that moment where I see the clarity really come into their soul. Currently, this is called emotional labor. It's called invisible labor. There's so many things that it's called. You're conditioned to do it. There's no reason to shame yourself or blame yourself. Please skip that part. Don't be like me. I really went into a lot of blame and shame. This is the moment where you can actually draw out your interactions using this framework and get very clear about what are your brave choices so that you can pivot. Because we have this time, lots of people believe different things, and I honor that. For me, what I believe is that I have this moment in this setup for this life. And it's sacred and it's precious and it's true for me. And I want to enjoy it. I want to experience it. I want to help other people experience it. I want to support others to live their brave life so that they leave a legacy they enjoy. Legacies are created in the smallest moments. So I hope that this helps you avoid burnout, recover from burnout, and help other people who are stepping into the irritation, the exhaustion, the weight gain or loss, the oversleeping, undersleeping, and all of the other symptoms that are so detrimental to burnout. All right. Thank you so much for coming. This was great. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. You're trying to wrap your mind around the triangle and the rest of the material. It was really insightful. I dropped my email. I have podcast episodes. If specific questions come up or you just want to bounce around with me, you're very welcome to send me an email. And we can continue to go from there. So much time and energy given to blaming. Thank you for calling me in with this very important presentation. You're welcome. Thank you for coming. Every moment we get to make these decisions, that call in the type of life that we want to have, the brave life, the life that creates the legacy that we want. You get to do that too. And I'm so grateful that we shared this moment together. Alrighty, with that stated, it says that at least my clock says that we are at the 50. You're welcome. You are so welcome. This is lovely. All this lovely feedback. Thank you. Being able to work with you during your most recent mastermind on mindset has prepared me more for this presentation, and I'm very grateful. Yeah. Thank you for coming to this one as well. There's so many opportunities to learn. Definitely sign up for, it's the link that says view.flowdesk.com. Definitely sign up for that so that you can also experience the other webinars and experience the new podcast episodes and continue to learn. This is the kind of content that I want to give out. And as a woman in tech for over 20 years, I really want to see a lot more of us stay. I want to see a lot more of us who do not claim Indigenous roots exclusively from Europe. We really need those different perspectives. Yeah. All righty. Well, there are lots of other events going on. If you have a question, I'm going to stay on until the top of the hour, and I will also allow that people want to pop. Bye. And like I said, I'm just going to hang out. So if you have a comment, I'll be watching while I drink my coffee from my strong, courageous cup. Okay, so just in case they keep this for the recording, I'll float one. Never mind any contributing factors about me personally. Hell, we all have our own selves to represent. But I was tying a lot of this advice to overcoming imposter syndrome as well. Yes. So earlier, one of our colleagues, I can't remember exactly where it was, said, oh, Teresa, what suggestion do you have for those who do not have another person involved in their goal outcome? And I was saying like, oh, you can look at your future and your current. And this is actually one of the ways that I help my clients break free from some of their outdated patterns. So we always start with self-concept. Who do you want to become? We do mindset work, like what are you currently thinking and feeling and believing, and what do you want to think and believe and feel? And then doing work in between there. One of the things that I say is mindset without action is nonsense. And sometimes people are doing, they know where they want to go. They know their goal. They're really specific. They're cleaning up their mindset. And yet there's still this inner resistance that doesn't make sense. This is one of the modalities that I use. This is a more advanced modality as well, but we can go to that next layer and we start looking at the feeling, which is where you pull the triangle out into a three-dimensional triangle. And you start exploring like what is going on in there and seeing the patterns and beliefs from a physiological perspective to challenge the concept of the imposter syndrome. So Brian, I just love that you're the person sharing this. So I actually have a belief that imposter syndrome just means that I'm not being a good, mediocre white guy. And like, that's okay with me. So if I feel the imposter syndrome, sweet, because I'm not a white guy. I'm not a guy. I am white. But like, if that is norm, I'm never going to be that. So if I'm starting to feel like insecurity, if I'm starting to feel vulnerability, if I'm questioning myself if I belong, especially in rooms that are designed around one identity, which is the minority of the minority of the minority of the minority, great. I'm being myself just a little bit more. And how can I go into this direction and be more in a inclusive, in a more open growth kind of space? So I love that you brought that up because that is definitely the case. And it's a way that I support my clients when mindset, it just isn't cutting it. Just isn't cutting it. So bringing all of that together is such a powerful use of the accountability triangle. So brilliant comment, and especially for the recording and for those of us that are left. So thank you for bringing that up. I think so because I run this successful business and I've been in a lot of executive circles over the past decade or so, I've actually shared my perspective on the imposter syndrome a couple of times, and I usually get like waves of negative feedback. So it'd be cool to see if you guys, or if you people respond to that in any way as well. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for that great comment and inspiring this additional extension of the presentation. I appreciate that. All righty. Well, my clock says 70 or 59. So with that, I'm going to say thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of the Day of Security. Thank you for joining me here. Thank you for the questions and comments. And I look forward to seeing you in the Slack. There's a really cool channel on mentoring and being mentees. There's about jobs, there's about technology growth. So I will hopefully see you there. And if not, I will see you next year for sure. Take care.